Let's move on to lists. So we've seen these a little bit, this list literal when we were doing our virtual DOM stuff. This is a list in Elm. So a list is different from an array. It has a similar syntax to JavaScript arrays, but under the hood it's actually an immutable linked list. It's not literally a JavaScript array. So that means it has different performance characteristics. So that's a list. This is a list of lists. We can nest lists if we want. That's totally fine. This is not a valid Elm list, though. Although syntactically it works, it will not compile. And the reason is that it has inconsistent contents. So this right here is a list of numbers. This right here is a list of strings. And then its first element is a list of strings, and the second one is a list of strings. Then both of those go into a list of strings. This one has mixed contents. It has a string and a number coexisting in the same list, and that's not allowed in Elm. So this will not compile. If we tried to write that code, put it into a REPL, put it anywhere, it will not compile. So to see why Elm enforces that, let's consider some JavaScript code. So JavaScript, of course, allows you to mix contents in arrays. You can put anything you want in an array. Let's say we had an array of the strings pow, zap, and blam, and we were mapping over them. So if you're not familiar with JavaScript map, basically the way that it works is you call it as a method on an array. You pass it a function, and it's going to run that function on each element of the array. When it's done doing that, it's going to take all of the return values of each of those, and it's going to give you back a new array that has all of those return values as the contents of the new array. So this is going to essentially transform pow, zap, and blam into an uppercase version that's also had an exclamation point added to the end. So it's going to make them more exciting. So we have lowercase pow, zap, blam turning into this is the array that it will return pow, zap, blam, much more energetic. Okay. So that works. What happens if we put a number in there? This is totally valid JavaScript. We're allowed to put a number in a list of strings in JavaScript. What's going to happen? Well, for the first three, it's going to work exactly the same as before, but when it gets to the last one, it's going to call stir.toUppercase, and we're going to get a runtime exception. Stir.toUppercase is not a function. So fundamentally, the problem here is that toUppercase is a method that exists for these, but not for this. And this is a general problem. Anytime you have mixed contents in an array, in a list, in any kind of collection that you're able to iterate over, potentially you have the problem that the code that you wrote to operate on each of those elements is going to work for some of the elements but not other elements. So the purpose of enforcing this guarantee that these all have to have the same contents is so that whenever you iterate over a list, it's not possible to run into this situation. You know ahead of time that every operation you're going to do on each of those elements is going to work for every single operation in there because they're all the same. Okay, so this is sort of the fundamental problem, and the Elm solution to this is to require consistent entries in lists.